हेलो स्टूडेंट, वेलकम टू माय चैनल नॉलेज ओशन। आप सबका एक बार फिर स्वागत है मेरे चैनल नॉलेज ओशन में। एंड टुडे वी विल स्टार्ट द सेकेंड पार्ट ऑफ द राइज ऑफ नेशनलिज्म इन यूरोप। मुझे पूरी उम्मीद है कि आपने मेरा पहला वीडियो द राइज ऑफ नेशनलिज्म इन यूरोप देख लिया है। जिन लोगों ने अभी भी नहीं देखा प्लीज़ उसे देखिए, क्योंकि उस वीडियो को देखने के बाद ही आपको ये वीडियो समझ में आएगा। एंड प्लीज़ do like the video, subscribe the channel and share and do comment. So without any further delay, let's start the chapter, and the second part start with the making of nationalism in Europe. If we look at the map of the 18th century of Europe, we see that there were no nation state as we know them today. At that time there was no formation of the nation state. The Germany, Italy, Switzerland were divided into kingdom, duchies and cantons, were ruled by the autonomous king with their autonomous territory. The eastern and the central Europe were under the autocratic monarchy within the territory of which lived the diverse people. Habsburg Empire that ruled over the Austria and Hungary is the example of the patchwork of many different regions and the people. No nation states were there in Europe because of not having a common identity or culture. People residing in different area was speaking the different language. So we can see that the scenario of the Europe at that time, at the mid 18th century, was totally different. There was no formation of the nation state, and we know that for forming a nation state there should be a common identity and shared history. And at that time the Europe were divided into many parts, many kingdoms, where the many rulers, many monarchs, many dukes were there, and they were ruling over their own different territories. Now we will study about the structure of the society in the Europe. The Europe society was divided into three classes or three parts. The first were the aristocrats, the second was the peasantry, and the third was the middle class. Though the first one is the aristocracy, the socially and politically dominant class in the society is called the aristocracy. तो aristocracy किसे कहते हैं? सोसाइटी के अंदर जो पॉलिटिकली और सोशली जो डोमिनेंट क्लास होती है उसको हम क्या कहते हैं? aristocracy कहते हैं. This system is known as the aristocracy, and who are following them it is known as the aristocrat. तो land owned people was the aristocrat in Europe. The landed aristocracy was the dominant class in the Europe at that time. The member of this class were united by the common way of life that cut across the regional division. They owned the state in the countryside and also town houses in the town. They speak French and connected by the tie of marriage. They were powerful, but numerically they were in a small group. So you have to remember that at that time the aristocracy, the aristocrats, the land owning class was very powerful, but they were numerically very small in number. What is common in them? They own the state or the land in the village. The countryside means the village, and they also have the houses in the town. The second one is the peasantry. The peasantry means the group of the peasant. Peasant means the farmer. The majority of the population was made up of the peasantry. The bulk of the land was formed by the tenant and the small owner. The land holding was characterized by the vast estate which were cultivated by the noble. We can see in the Europe that the majority of the population belonged to the peasantry, that they were the farmer, and most of them were the small farmers, and they are landless labor also. They are working in other person field also, and the vast land was occupied by the noble, or you can say that these land was occupied by the aristocrats. Now the third division of the society in Europe was the middle class. This middle class is the educated class. You have to remember, we have studied in the French Revolution also the growing of the middle class. So this middle class is the educated class. A new social class emerged with the growth of town and emergence of the commercial classes. The industrialization began in France and the part of the German state during the 19th century. A new social group came into an existence, a working class population and the middle class made up of industrialists, businessmen, professionals. They were educated class and have the idea of nationality. So now, as the industrialization was increasing, people getting jobs in the factories, they are earning money, so they are sending their children to the school and they are getting knowledge. In knowledge they are getting the idea. So emergence of the feeling of nationalism is also creating in their mind. So growing of the middle class or the middle class in the Europe play a very crucial and important role in the nationalism, the rise of the nationalism in Europe. So we have seen that there is a society of Europe was divided into three parts: the aristocracy, the peasantry and the middle class. Now the next topic is, what did the liberal nationalism stand for? The idea of the national unity in the middle 19th century Europe was totally alien or totally dependent on the ideology of the liberalism. The liberalism means free. It derived from the Latin word liber, which means the free. From the new middle class, the liberalism stood for the freedom of the individual and the equality before the law. So the growing of the middle class, as I have told you, the middle class is the educated class. They are educated. So now they are demanding of the liberalization. They are talking about liberalization. They are talking about liberal nationalism. Liberal nationalism means freedom for the individual and the equality for all before the law. Since the French Revolution, the liberalism has stood for the end of the autocracy and the clinical privilege. Since the French Revolution, the liberalism stand for the end of autocracy and the clinical privilege, a constitution and the representative government through the parliament. So they were wanting the end of the autocracy का वो अंत चाहते थे, मोनार्की का वो अंत चाहते थे, और क्या चाहते थे? There should be a constitution and there should be a representative government. That means there should be a democracy. People should elect their leader. In the economic sphere, the liberalism stood for the freedom of market and the abolition of the state imposed restriction on the movement of goods and the capital. In 1834, the custom union was formed, which abolishes the tariff barrier and reduces the number of the currencies from 30 to 2. As we know that at that time the Europe was divided into multi-dynastical empire. So every empire is using different currencies. So this custom union has reduces the currency. There were 30 currencies were used for the trade purpose, reduces to the 2. The wave of the economic nationalism strengthened the nationalist sentiment and it grew the idea of nationalism among the people of Europe. A new conservatism was set up after 1815. The defeat of Napoleon in 1815, the European government was drawn out by the spirit of conservatism. The conservative believed that establishing the traditional institution of state and society like monarchy, church, the social hierarchy, property and the family should be preserved. In 1815, the representative of the European power, that are Britain, Rus, Pruss and Austria, who have collectively defeated Napoleon, meet at Vienna to draw out a settlement for Europe. The delegates draw out the Treaty of Vienna of 1815 with the object of undergoing most of the changes that had came after in Europe during the Napoleon time. The Bourbon family, which has been deprived during the French Revolution, was restored to power and the France lost the territory it has annexed under the Napoleon. The series of the states were set up on the boundaries of the France to prevent the French expansion in future. The main intention was to restore the monarchy that was overthrown by Napoleon and create a new conservative order in Europe. The conservative regime was set up in 1850 where autocrat they did not tolerate the criticism and dissent. Most of them imposed censorship law to control what was said in newspaper, books, play and song, and reflected the idea of liberty and freedom. तो हम ये देख सकते हैं कि after the defeat of Napoleon in the Battle of the Waterloo, a new conservatism was formed. A conservative society was formed, and they believe in the traditional institution. That means they believe in monarchy, they believe in the rule of the church, they believe in the social hierarchy. And at the Treaty of Verona in 1815, the Bourbon family from which the Louis XVI was belong, again the power was given to the Bourbon family. Again the France were under the monarchy rule, and the main purpose of making the Treaty of Verona is to restore the monarchy in the Europe, because the Napoleon has overthrown the monarchy and there was the strict censorship was imposed by the conservative regiment. If anyone is saying anything against the regiment, there the strict punishment was given. They imposed this censorship over the newspaper, books and play to see that there should not be any idea of liberty and freedom. कोई भी आइडिया फ्रीडम और लिबर्टी के रिलेटेड कोई भी आइडिया किसी भी प्ले, किसी भी न्यूज़पेपर पे नहीं होना चाहिए. During the year following 1815, a fear of repression drawn many rebel nationalists underground. The secret societies were formed in many European states to train the revolutionaries and spread their idea of liberty and freedom. The main idea of that time revolutionary was a commitment to oppose the monarchical form that has been established after the Treaty of Verona and to fight for the liberty and the freedom. The most of these revolutionaries also saw the creation of the nation state as a necessary part of this struggle for the freedom. One of such individual was the Italian revolutionary Mazzini. Born in Genoa in 1807, he became the member of the secret society of the Carboni. At the age of 24, he was sent to exile. In 1831, he founded the two underground society, the Young Italy in Marseilles and the Young Europe in Berne, where the members were like-minded young men from Poland, France, Germany and from the Italy. The Mazzini believed that the God had intended nation to be the natural unit of the mankind. The Mazzini regularly opposed the monarchy and his vision of the democratic republic, fighting the conservatives. The Austrian chancellor described him as the most dangerous enemy for our social order. Next important topic is the age of revolution, that is between the 1830 to 1848. In July 1830, the Bourbon king of the France were overthrown and the constitutional monarchy were established. The July Revolution sparked an uprising in the Bruxelles, which led to the Belgium breakaway from the United Kingdom and the Netherlands. Greece, which has been a part of the Ottoman Empire since the 15th century, struggled for the independence. The Treaty of Constantinople of 1832 recognized Greece as an independent nation. Development of the nationalism does not come through only the wars and the terrestrial expansion. The cultural movement, which sought to develop a particular form of nationalist sentiment, criticized the glorification of reason and the science and focused instead of emotion and the mysterious feelings. The German philosopher Johnny Gottfried tried to discover the culture among the common people through the folk songs, folk poetry, and the dances. Now, the situation in the Europe was very intense. In most countries, there were more seekers of the job than the employment. The population from the rural area migrate to the cities to live in overcrowded slum. The rise of the food prices, bad harvest lead to the widespread problems in the cities and the country. In 1848, the population of the France came out on the road and the Louis Philippe was forced to fly and the National Assembly proclaimed a republic. In 1845, the weavers led a revolt against the contractors. So you can see that now the age of the revolution has been came and there has been changing taking place in Europe. There is a revolt against everything. Now this idea of the nationalism, now the people of the Europe realizes the importance of the nation state and the idea of the nationalism is spreading. So in this way I completed the second part of the rise of nationalism in Europe. In the third part we will discuss about the liberal revolution and the last part, that is the making of the Germany and the Italy. So till then, subscribe this channel, like this video, and please see my previous videos also. Please do comment and share my video as much as you can. Till then, thank you. Jai Hind. Keep smiling.